Hello, everyone, and welcome to the I Can't Call It In-Ring Wrestling Podcast with your host, TJ. Wanted to talk about today the big match from, I believe, All Out of Swerve Strickland and Adam Hangman Page. I thought it was a very aggressive match indeed, but I think a lot of it could have been done within the way of putting both guys over, but doing it in the way of great storytelling and angles. Hear me out. So, take all of those big spots from that whole entire matchup. And let's see, they dropped each other on the center blocks. Swerve getting stuck in the mouth with the needle. That's probably the biggest one that stands off. It did a couple of crazy bumps off the top rope. The chair shot is one that stands out. Just calling out, I think that's probably about 4 or 5. So let's just take 5 of those big spots that were in the match, and let's break that up over a process of time over the next 4 to 5 weeks. Meaning, these 2 guys are your top stars within the company, which means they need to be on TV each and every week. To go 3 to 4 weeks or however long without these 2 guys on the show hurts the show. Now, Hangman Page has come back before Swerve, but Hangman has come back and he's in another Texas Death Row match with Jeff Jarrett or whatever, still going hard after this whole entire match that him and Swerve just had. I mean, let's sell it a little bit. Let's let it linger a little bit. Let's hold on to it for a little bit more. You know, to me, he kind of just put it down and he's just walking on about his business. Now, hear me out. If they would have took those big spots and just did one of those spots within an angle each week on Dynamite, maybe on Collision to get more eyes on the show, it would have made their meetup more impactful. Meaning, when Adam Hangman Page burned down Swerve Strickland's home, he should have been arrested. Then after he was arrested, the match is canceled. And you give Swerve a, one-off match with something like that, just to get us to the next week. And then you do a whole thing of Hangman being released and he's back. And then you take those 5 big spots from that match and you work them in each week on the show. And just continue to let it build. Continue to let it build. To a point where Tony Khan, is just overly exerted and exhausted with these 2 on this show. And then you put them into a cage. So once they get into the cage, they ain't got to go ballistically crazy and do everything in one night. You spread it like peanut butter over a matter of time. So when the question's asked, do I think that Swerve and Hangman's match was too violent? No, I don't think it was too violent, not for today's wrestling fan. I think for today's wrestling fan, they really enjoy story. And I think if they could have just told the story between them within using these angles each and every week on the show and then gave them the match, I think a lot more people would have been happy with the turnout. Because I think today's wrestling fan wants to be invested into what's going on. Hence with everything that's on different apps and networks and everything like that, I want to be invested into the show, into the characters, to actually care. So if they could have did each of those angles, boom, each night, one night on Dynamite, one night on Collision, and just keep milking it, keep milking it. And then we get to, let's say, the end of the year or the beginning of the year with, double or nothing. And then you have a big show, or you push it off and wait until you get into a stadium, and then you have the big match. But to me, to burn those two out within that one night was just ludicrous. Because right now, AEW needs eyes on the product. AEW needs eyes on the company. And the best way to get eyes on the company and eyes on the product is to create interest. People have to be interested in what's going on. And I think if they could have took everything that they did in that match and broke it down to angles on the show and then had the match, you would have gained a bigger fan base, and you would have put more eyes on the product. Because guess what? People would have been talking. For example, you take the first one. Hangman burns down Swerve's house. Swerve, he's pissed off. He's had enough. He's in tears. He's hurt. He's devastated. So you're showing him on the show and everything. Hangman's still locked up. That next week, Hangman's out. But hey, Hangman's been suspended, right? And then you can do a thing to maybe where Swerve goes to Hangman's house, or they meet up somewhere in a parking lot, or hey, Hangman does a run-in from out the crowd on Swerve. Then have Swerve gets that center block from up under the ring. And we know it's a real center block. And he beats Hangman down, rips the shirt, so when he throws him on top of that center block, you see the scoring. And Hangman's what? He's wheeled off on a stretcher. Swerve standing tall. You give it a week or two, Hangman comes back. Hangman's pissed off. Swerve's taking years off of his career. Tony has reinstated him. Guess what? He pulls that center block from up under the ring. He dumps Swerve on it. Eye for an eye. And you just keep doing that back and forth with everything that they already did within the ring. Because to me, why give all that away in one night when that could have been spread over months to lead up to that match? And then once you got those two in the cage, it'll be all eyes on them. That's just my thoughts and my opinion, but I can't call it. Thank you for listening to the I Can't Call It In-Ring Wrestling Podcast with your host TJ, and I'll talk to you on the next one.